In this video, I want to talk a bit more about the Network and Sharing Center here in Windows, and kind of give you a little more in-depth information about some of the additional networking options and settings in Windows outside of the Settings app. So when you first come into the Network and Sharing Center, it's going to be under the Network and Internet section under Control Panel if you are doing it by category view and clicking through. But again, you can always come straight to Network and Sharing Center. So first thing you're going to see is your active networks. So I kind of have two, because I have essentially some virtual machines. So I have a virtual switch on my machine. So that is what you're seeing here, and why you kind of see this unidentified public network. That's just a kind of result of that setup. But as you can see through the private network that is set up through the virtual setup, I do have the internet access. And you can click on your connection here to kind of get some status on that connection. You can see the duration it has been up. Obviously, I just rebooted my computer, so that's why it's showing a low number here. And you can see the rated speed of that connection. And here under the activity, you'll see the amount of packets. In this case, it's information sent and received. You can obviously disable it, diagnose, or you can view the properties of that connection here. So the other options you have on this main page here is you have the ability to change your network settings, so you can set up a new connection or network. Usually you won't need to do this. The most common deal you would use this for is to, obviously, if you need to set up like a VPN connection back to work or something. And you've got built-in troubleshooter here, which is going to launch you into the Settings app, and then you can kind of pick from the various options of whatever issue you are having. So the next thing I want to show you, let's go look at the advanced sharing settings. Alright, so this is going to be your defaults for all network. It first brings you up to public folder sharing. So basically your computer has a public folder where you can put stuff, and that can be accessed by anyone, and you can on the computer, and you can choose if you want to share that out or not. You can kind of read the information on here, and it'll kind of tell you what it is. If you do any media streaming, you have that ability as well to do options. Let's click. And you can get more information. Obviously mine's not turned on, but if you want to turn on, you can do that from here. Alright, and then file sharing connections, you choose your encryption, and if you want to do password protected sharing, which if you're on a network where you have some people that you may not necessarily want to access stuff, or stuff may be a little more sensitive, I would recommend just having that on. Alright, so let's look at your private network. So under the private network, you can always have your network discovery turned on. It's probably recommended since it is private and going to be more trusted. And then you can also have your file and printer sharing on as well. So now if we look at the guest or public network, by default it's going to be all turned off, and that would be my recommendation. You can always temporarily turn it on if there's you need to maybe share something with somebody, and maybe it's just easier to do that way. I kind of leave it up to you, but otherwise for the most part it should be turned off here on guest or public. Private it can be on, and then of course your additional settings for all networks. Alright, so now let's look at the options here for change adapter settings. So that's going to basically bring you to your network connections screen, and that's going to show you all your adapters on here. So my particular computer, actually the motherboard has 2 Ethernet ports, so that's what you're seeing here. And then I have a lot of virtual, so that's why you're seeing a lot of these additional. But this is the main physical Ethernet port. So if we click on it, and of course all these you can choose to disable. You can get status. You can run a diagnosis on them. bridge the connection if you wanted to kind of merge those together, rename the connection. But what we want to look at here and what I want to show you is properties. And so what you're going to see here is a lot of options here, but the one thing that we are primarily going to be concerned with, and since I do actually have the virtual stuff enabled, so I'm going to actually switch over to the virtual one here to show you, and so you can see how a lot more is actually checked now. And the one item here we're going to be want to look at is this Internet Protocol version for IPv4. And you'll click on properties. So normally it's going to be set to obtain an IP address automatically, and the IP address is essentially the Internet Protocol address. It's going to be that series of numbers that basically is a unique identifier on the network for your device. And the same for the DNS, you'll get that automatically. Now you can choose to manually set, but you want to make sure when you do that that the IP address you use is not used by anything else on that network. And then you also need to know this additional information, the subnet mask and the default gateway. And if you're going to do the same for the DNS server, you need to know those DNS server addresses. This is going to be a little more advanced. Most of you probably will not need to be messing with this unless you're given information on how to manually make adjustments here. But I just want to show you this, that what all you can do here. So real quick, let's click the Advanced tab. So you got some more information here. So if you wanted to add some additional default gateways, you could do that. So right now you got the DHCP is enabled, which means the IP address is automatically being assigned. You got the DNS tab. Again, this is more advanced stuff, so you likely wouldn't need to be messing with any of this. So we're going to go ahead and just close out of this window. The other thing back on this IPv4 properties window I want to show you is the alternate configuration tab. So this is if you want to do like configure your own information here, which is going to be similar to the general, but again, this is an alternate configuration. So we're just going to cancel out all that and just close this window. So that is essentially everything for the Network and Sharing Center. Obviously, a few more advanced items than what you see in the Settings app if you looked at the bonus video where we did a deep dive into the Settings app. So just wanted to kind of give you some more information. Again, we also touched on this briefly in the book as well. So again, as always, any questions, please feel free to reach out using the contact information provided in the book.